Some people were never meant to carry the weight of who you are. They can't comprehend the magnitude of your calling, and that's why they treat you lightly. It's not that you're too much, it's that they're not enough. They don't have the capacity to hold what God placed inside you. Your dreams are too deep for shallow minds. Your vision is too vast for limited perspectives. And if you keep shrinking yourself to make others comfortable, you will forfeit the fullness of your assignment. See, we often fall into the trap of trying to drag people along with us who were only meant to witness a portion of our journey. You keep wondering why the relationship isn't working, why the friendship feels one-sided, why your brilliance is met with blank stares. And the answer is simple. Not everyone has the spiritual bandwidth to carry the anointing that rests on your life. You're trying to explain divine things to carnal minds. You're trying to justify your fire to people who are content living in the cold. When God gives you a calling, it comes wrapped in responsibility. It requires discernment. It demands emotional maturity. It requires faith, discipline, prayer, sacrifice. And not everyone is willing to pay that price. Some people want your presence, but not your purpose. They enjoy your company, but they can't carry your crown. They like your laughter, but they can't handle your calling. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your life trying to teach people how to carry what only God has assigned to you. Moses was called to lead a nation, but even he had to climb Mount Sinai alone. He had people behind him, yes, but the instructions, the revelation, the glory of God, all happened in isolation. Don't expect crowd confirmation for a calling that was spoken in the secret place. Some people only saw you when you were in Egypt making bricks. They didn't see the burning bush. They didn't hear God call your name. They don't know about the tears, the nights, the fears, the fasting, the warfare, the rejection. They just see the result and question your legitimacy. Let me teach you something. Rejection is not always a wound. Sometimes it's wisdom. It's God saying, they're not ready to walk with you. It's protection in disguise. When people walk away, don't chase them. When they downplay your gifts, don't water them down. When they say you've changed, say, yes, I have. Because the oil on your life has a price tag, and not everybody is willing to pay the cost to walk with someone as chosen as you. David was anointed in the presence of his brothers, but they still didn't see him as king. Joseph shared his dream with his brothers, and they threw him in a pit. Jesus walked with his disciples for 3 years, and one of them still betrayed him. If rejection and misunderstanding could happen to them, what makes you think you'll be exempt? Sometimes the rejection is the very confirmation that you're walking in divine purpose. You are not crazy for dreaming bigger. You're not wrong for thinking higher. You're not arrogant for believing there's more for your life. You are called, and when you are called, you must understand this. Favor is not always friendly. Anointing does not always come with applause. Sometimes it comes with isolation. Sometimes it comes with being overlooked. Sometimes it comes with being pushed away, underestimated, ridiculed, and misunderstood. But just because people can't carry your calling doesn't mean it isn't real. It just means you've outgrown their level of understanding. Some of you are still mourning friendships that faded, relationships that failed, environments that became too small. And God is saying, stop mourning what I've removed. Stop grieving over people who couldn't grasp your grace. Some were seasonal supporters, not lifetime partners. They were scaffolding, not structure. They were a part of your foundation, not your future. Don't confuse temporary assignments with permanent covenants. You need people around you who can not only recognize your calling, but also respect it, nurture it, and protect it. People who speak life into you, who fan your flames, not put them out. People who challenge you, not compete with you. People who celebrate you in private, not just in public. And if that kind of circle is hard to find, know this. God will send destiny partners in due season, but first, He will prune your surroundings. He will remove what is not meant to go where He's taking you, and you must have the courage to let them go. You don't have to convince anyone of your worth. You don't have to beg to be believed in. You don't have to dumb yourself down so others won't feel insecure around your brilliance. You don't need permission to be who God made you to be. Your calling is valid. Your voice is needed. Your presence carries power, but not everyone will see it, and that's okay, because your value was never dependent on their validation. So stop trying to force deep connections with shallow people. Stop waiting for approval from people who couldn't see past your past. You were never called to fit in. You were born to stand out, and when they don't understand you, don't be discouraged. Just remind yourself, it's not that you're too much, it's that they don't have the capacity. They were never built to carry someone like you, and that's not your fault. It's just the evidence that they don't deserve you. You must understand this. Value is inherent. It is not determined by outside perception. A diamond in the dirt is still a diamond. A painting by a master artist, whether hanging in a gallery or tucked away in a dusty attic, is still priceless. Just because it hasn't been noticed doesn't mean it isn't valuable, and just because they didn't celebrate you doesn't mean you aren't chosen by God. Sometimes we get so caught up trying to earn validation that we forget we've already been validated by the one who matters most. God didn't call you based on popular vote. He called you based on purpose. He doesn't wait for public agreement before he releases divine assignments. His approval is not subject to human applause. So if God has spoken over your life, why are you waiting for people to sign what heaven already confirmed? The danger in living for recognition is that you begin to modify your behavior to match expectations. You begin to dilute your voice so it won't offend. You shrink your dreams so others won't feel insecure. You bury your gifts so you don't seem proud. But let me tell you, dimmed light doesn't bless anybody. When you downplay your God, given greatness to stay in the good graces of people who only love a smaller version of you, you end up betraying your own calling. There are people who are only comfortable with you when you are struggling. They are fine when you're in survival mode, when you're dependent, when you're unsure. But the moment you find your voice, the moment you realize your worth, the moment you stop begging and start building, they get uncomfortable. And it's not because you've changed in a bad way. It's because they never expected you to grow beyond their grasp. Listen closely. You can't allow other people's perception of you to become your prison. You weren't made to be confined. You were born to expand, to evolve, to elevate. But that means walking away from the need for validation. That means letting go of the lie that says, if they don't see me, I'm not valuable. No, you are valuable even if overlooked. You are brilliant even if ignored. You are chosen even if doubted. You don't need a stage to be impactful. You don't need followers to be influential. You don't need a title to carry authority. The oil on your life is not determined by public recognition. It flows from private obedience. The world might not see your preparation, but heaven does. Your consistency is seen. Your faithfulness is rewarded. Your silent battles are noticed. And in due time, the same people who dismissed you will witness what God does through you. But here's the catch. You must stop adjusting your value to meet their approval. You must stop negotiating your identity for a seat at tables that don't even serve your purpose. If they can't respect your presence, they don't deserve your presence. If they only loved the struggling version of you but couldn't handle your strength, they were never assigned to your future. You weren't created to be tolerated. You were created to be celebrated. And if the people around you only clap when you're quiet, only support you when you're broken, only stick around when you're hiding, then maybe it's time to stop calling them your circle and start calling them your lesson. Value is not arrogant. Value is not loud. Value is knowing that you have something sacred inside of you. and refusing to let that be trampled just because someone else can't comprehend it. The tragedy is not that they didn't see your worth. The tragedy would be if you let their blindness cause you to go blind too. Don't internalize their ignorance. Don't mistake silence for rejection. Some people are too bound by their own insecurities to ever truly celebrate someone else. And that's not your problem to fix. You have to look yourself in the mirror and declare, I will not diminish to be digested. I will not simplify to be accepted. I will not conform to be liked. You were created by God for God, and He alone defines your value. Whether they recognize it or not, you are still royalty. Whether they affirm it or not, you are still appointed. Whether they honor it or not, you are still enough. The world doesn't get to decide how valuable you are. Your worth was settled when Christ shed His blood for you. That's the price that was paid. That's the receipt of your worth. And if that doesn't convince them, then maybe they were never meant to carry your destiny. You are not for everyone, but you are for someone, and most importantly, you are for Him. So walk in that truth, live from that truth, and never again allow the absence of recognition to cause the presence of doubt. They may not see it, they may not say it, they may not believe it, but that does not change the fact that you are worthy, you are valuable, and if they don't know it by now, maybe they don't deserve you. Sometimes the greatest gift God gives us is not what He brings into our lives, but what He removes. You prayed for clarity, and He removed the confusion. You prayed for protection, and He removed the people. You asked for direction, and He blocked the path you were trying to force open. And while you may have cried, while you may have felt abandoned, misunderstood, or even punished, what you didn't see was that behind the pain, behind the rejection, behind the sudden separation, was divine strategy. God was protecting what He placed inside of you. See, we often interpret separation as punishment, but God sees it as preservation. He knows what's ahead before we ever take the first step. He knows what conversations you never heard, what intentions were hidden behind smiles, what traps were being laid in secret. And so, rather than let you walk into destruction, He intervenes. He interrupts. He removes, and it hurts. Because it's hard to understand why someone you loved, someone you supported, someone you believed in, could walk away, lie on you, betray you, or simply disappear. But the truth is, God sees the heart when we only see the surface. You were trying to hold on to what God was trying to cut off. You kept trying to resuscitate relationships that heaven already called time of death on. And the longer you hold on, the longer you delay your own healing. There are some people who are not evil. They are just expired. Their assignment in your life has come to an end and the grace has lifted. But because we're emotional creatures, because we get attached, we confuse comfort with purpose. We think familiarity equals destiny, but just because it's familiar doesn't mean it's fruitful, and just because you're used to it doesn't mean it's useful. God is too wise to allow your future to be contaminated by people who don't have the capacity to go where you're going. He doesn't just bless, He protects. He doesn't just elevate, He isolates, because elevation always comes with separation. Before Joseph ever stepped into the palace, he was separated from his brothers. Before David ever sat on the throne, he was running in the wilderness. Before Jesus ever performed miracles, he was led into the wilderness to be tested. Separation precedes elevation. And if you're in a season of divine disconnection, don't despise it. Don't rush to fill the gap. Don't try to replace what God removed. Trust that the pruning is part of the promise. Sometimes God will allow people to exit your life not because of who they are now, but because of who you are becoming. The version of you that's emerging doesn't need the same circle, the same conversations, the same habits, or the same limitations. The new you requires new oil, new mindsets, new strength, and new alignment. And anything that doesn't serve your purpose in this season has to go. Not because you're bitter, not because you're angry, but because you're focused. You can't carry unnecessary weight into destiny. You can't take everyone with you into purpose. Some people were only meant to walk with you to the gate, but they can't come through the door. Some relationships were meant to teach you, stretch you, sharpen you, but not stay with you. And the mistake we often make is confusing seasonal people with lifetime assignments. Just because someone was vital in one chapter doesn't mean they belong in the next. If God is closing the door, don't break your back trying to prop it back open. And let me tell you this, some of the people who left you, who dismissed you, who discredited you, they didn't walk away because they were strong, they walked away because they couldn't handle your growth. They saw where you were headed, and it made them uncomfortable. They sensed the favor on your life increasing, and instead of celebrating, they became envious, and God, in His mercy, removed them quietly. Because if they had stayed, they would have sabotaged your future. If they had stayed, they would have drained your faith, your energy, your identity. So God, being the good Father He is, cut them off before they could contaminate your calling. It may feel like loss, but it's really gain. It may look like rejection, but it's actually redirection. God is steering you away from what you thought you wanted to give you what you truly need. You prayed for favor, and favor requires focus. You asked for overflow, and overflow requires obedience. You said, Lord, take me higher. And higher altitudes require lighter loads, so don't curse the separation. Don't question the silence. Don't mourn the removal. Lift your hands and thank God for the unseen battles He fought on your behalf. It's time to stop trying to drag dead weight into a destiny that requires freedom. Stop calling what God removed a loss. It was divine subtraction for supernatural multiplication. You're not being punished. You're being positioned. You're not being rejected. You're being realigned. And every no, every closed door, every goodbye is making room for the yes that aligns with your purpose. So breathe, release, trust, and walk forward. The pruning may hurt, but it's making space for the fruit. The cutting may feel cruel, but it's producing character. The separation may sting, but it's setting you up for supernatural elevation. Don't fight what God is doing. Surrender, because what He's preparing you for is greater than what He's pulling you from. And remember, they didn't leave by accident. It wasn't a coincidence. It was divine separation. Because in the end, they didn't deserve where you're going. You can't carry greatness and expect to be surrounded by comfort. You can't walk in purpose and still expect to fit into everyone's preferences. There comes a point in your journey where you must understand that being misunderstood is part of being marked. You are chosen. You are set apart. And when God sets you apart, He doesn't consult with your peers, your friends, or your past. He doesn't ask for permission to anoint you. He doesn't wait for others to approve. He simply places His hand on you and says, "This one belongs to me." And the moment that happens, everything changes. Suddenly, you're no longer comfortable in places you used to be at ease. You no longer laugh at jokes you used to laugh at. You can't enjoy gossip, laziness, or mediocrity the way others do. It's not that you've become judgmental, it's that you've become aware. Purpose will awaken something inside of you that disturbs your peace with average. Destiny will disrupt your desire to blend in. You stop trying to please people and start trying to honor God. But this shift, this awakening, will cost you something. It'll cost you approval. It'll cost you popularity. It'll cost you being liked. Because people are okay with you as long as you don't challenge their comfort. But the moment you start rising, the moment you start transforming, the moment you start breaking free from limitations, they will feel threatened, not because you've done anything to them, but because your growth exposes their stagnation. Don't be surprised when people start pulling away from you when you step into your purpose. Don't be shocked when those who once clapped for you now sit in silence. Purpose comes with pressure. Calling comes with critics. Elevation attracts resistance. And if you're waiting for universal agreement before you walk in your assignment, you'll be waiting forever. Jesus himself was misunderstood. He was mocked, rejected, and crucified by the very people he came to save. If the Son of God was not exempt, why do you think you will be? Being chosen doesn't mean being celebrated. Sometimes it means being separated. Sometimes it means walking alone, crying in the dark, not having someone to vent to, not having the crowd to validate you. Sometimes it means being the first in your family to break the cycle, the only one in your circle pursuing growth, the misunderstood one among the familiar. But hear me, being alone doesn't mean being abandoned. It means God is fine, tuning your ears to hear him clearly. He's silencing distractions. He's pruning your environment. He's teaching you how to walk by faith, not by applause. You have to be okay with not being invited. You have to be okay with being left out. You have to be okay with not being the topic of celebration. Because if your need for validation is greater than your obedience to God, you'll never fulfill your destiny. People will try to trap you with their opinions. They'll say you've changed when you stop participating in dysfunction. They'll say you're acting brand new when you start setting boundaries. But what they don't understand is that when purpose hits your life, you're supposed to change. You're not supposed to stay the same. Growth is not arrogance. Healing is not pride. Clarity is not being distant. It's divine transformation, and the ones who can't accept the new version of you were likely connected to the broken version of you. They were comfortable with your confusion because it didn't challenge theirs. But now that you see clearly, they can't manipulate you the same. Now that you know who you are, they can't define you anymore. Let me speak to your spirit. Stop apologizing for your elevation. Stop dimming your light to make others feel better. Stop shrinking to fit into rooms God has called you to lead. If they can't handle your growth, they're not assigned to your destiny. And that's not arrogance. That's clarity. That's maturity. That's knowing who you are and refusing to bend for those who only loved a version of you that wasn't fully alive. Yes, it's going to hurt when people walk away. Yes, it's going to sting when those you loved no longer cheer for you. But don't let pain make you question your purpose. Don't let rejection make you doubt your direction. God removes to replace. He subtracts to multiply. And sometimes he has to clear the room before he reveals what he's about to do through you. So don't curse the loneliness. Don't fight the silence. Don't resent the isolation. God is sanctifying you. He's setting you apart. He's preparing you for something that eyes haven't seen, ears haven't heard, and minds haven't imagined. You weren't called to be common. You weren't called to be liked by all. You were called to be light in darkness, salt in bland places, a warrior in a world of passivity. And if that calling makes people leave you, let them go. Because when it's all said and done, you'd rather walk alone with purpose than be surrounded by people who only tolerated your pain but can't celebrate your power. You're not too much. You're not too deep. You're not too intense. You're just chosen. And the ones who can't handle that, you've got to stop giving your energy to people who wouldn't lift a finger for you when you were drowning. You've got to stop exhausting yourself, bleeding internally, spiritually drained, just to keep people who wouldn't blink if you broke down happy. Because there comes a time when you must stop betraying your own soul for people who would never sacrifice their comfort to carry your burden. Let's be honest, some of the people you keep trying to impress, to convince, to explain yourself to would be just fine if you lost everything tomorrow. Some of them only smile in your face because they benefit from your light. But the moment your storm begins, they disappear like vapor. And yet you keep pouring, keep helping, keep hoping, thinking maybe this time they'll show up differently. Maybe this time they'll be there like you've always been for them. But let me tell you the truth, real love doesn't have to be begged. Loyalty doesn't have to be bribed, and people who are truly for you don't require you to go into pieces to prove your worth. There are folks in your life who only love you when you're convenient. When you're low and in need, they feel superior. When you're broken, they feel needed. But when you rise, when you find your strength, when you get back up, when you start walking in confidence, they become quiet. They get distant. Some of them even get resentful. Why? Because they were never invested in your healing. They were only present for your suffering. You've got to see this clearly. Just because someone is present doesn't mean they're planted. Some are standing in your life with their bags packed, always ready to exit the moment the blessings start showing up. And still, you keep giving. You keep trusting. You keep inviting people who have shown you with their patterns that they're not for you. But here's what you've got to understand. Love without boundaries isn't love, it's bondage. Service without discernment leads to burnout. Giving without wisdom becomes self-destruction. And you, my friend, are not obligated to die on a hill for people who won't even pray for you. How long will you keep sacrificing your peace for people who bring nothing but confusion? How long will you keep opening doors for people who only bring in dirt? There has to come a moment when you say enough. I cannot keep giving my best to people who are committed to misunderstanding me. There are people who aren't confused. They've made a choice. They've chosen not to see you, not to support you, not to honor you, and your effort won't change that. Your kindness won't reverse it. Your silence won't earn their respect. Because it was never about your behavior. It was about their inability to value you properly. You've got to learn to stop negotiating with people who never saw your worth to begin with. Don't let their presence convince you of their purpose. Some people were sent to be a lesson, not a lifetime. They were meant to teach you boundaries, not be your breakthrough. They were a season, not your forever. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you'll stop giving them access to the sacred places of your life. Sometimes God will let people walk away not to punish you, but to protect you. You think you're losing something, but you're really gaining clarity. You think you're being rejected, but you're really being redirected. God is trying to preserve your oil. He's trying to keep your heart from hardening. But as long as you keep giving away what's holy to those who treat it as common, you will keep experiencing the same heartbreak. This is the season where you must be selective with your energy. You must guard your space like your life depends on it, because spiritually it does. Not everyone deserves access to your wisdom. Not everyone should have a seat at your table. Not everyone is meant to walk with you to destiny. Love people, but love them with wisdom. Serve people, but don't serve at the expense of your soul. Help people, but not to the point where you're hurting yourself. Stop trying to convince people of your value. Stop explaining your worth to people who are blind by choice. You don't owe anyone your peace just to maintain a connection. If they only want you when you're empty, they don't deserve you when you're full. If they can't clap when you win, they shouldn't be near you when you cry. If they pull away when you rise, they were never rooted in love to begin with. This is the season to protect your oil. This is the season to steward your energy. You've got things to build. You've got healing to walk in. You've got purpose to fulfill. You don't have time to be drained by people who only know how to take and never give. Let them go. Release them without apology. And move forward, knowing that the people who are assigned to your destiny won't drain you. They'll pour into you. They won't just receive from your table. They'll bring something to it. So walk forward with your head high, your heart guarded, and your spirit anchored. You've wasted enough time on people who never saw the treasure in you. No more trying to make them see it. If they can't appreciate your value, if they misuse your grace, if they leave you empty every time, they don't need another chance. My brothers and sisters, hear me clearly. There comes a moment in your life where you must stop seeking acceptance from places that can't hold your anointing. There comes a divine shift where God starts revealing who was really for you and who was only there for what they could take. And when that moment comes, you must have the courage to release, to let go, to walk away from everything and everyone that can't carry the weight of where God is taking you. Stop trying to fit into spaces you've outgrown. Stop apologizing for your growth, your healing, your peace. You don't have to keep proving your worth to people who are committed to overlooking it. You don't have to keep bleeding to prove your loyalty to people who wouldn't bandage you if you were broken. You are not called to be drained, depleted, and dismissed. You are called to rise. You are called to thrive. You are called to walk in divine purpose. And not everyone can go where you're going. God is elevating you. He is pruning you. He is positioning you. And yes, it hurts. Separation hurts. Rejection stings. Loneliness echoes in the dark. But don't confuse the pain of the process with the absence of God. He is in the separation. He is in the silence. He is in the shifting. And He's doing it all to protect what He placed inside of you. So wipe your tears, straighten your crown, lift your head, and walk forward with confidence, knowing that if they left, if they turned, if they couldn't handle your growth, they didn't deserve you. You are not hard to love. You are not too much. You are not too deep. You are chosen. You are called. You are carrying something sacred, and the people who are truly assigned to your destiny, they won't run from your greatness. They'll rise with it. Let go, move forward, and don't look back. Because everything behind you is proof that God is preparing something greater ahead. And the next time the enemy whispers, "Why did they leave you?" you tell him boldly, "Because they didn't deserve me." Amen.